Okay, so lesson 2.2, the Pythagorean theorem, a theorem that you've used, not brand new to you. So let's review what this is. The Pythagorean theorem is used to find the missing side of a right triangle, and a right triangle only. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where A and B are the legs of the triangle, so they form the right angle, and then C is the hypotenuse. C is always the hypotenuse. And what's the hypotenuse? It's the longest side in the triangle, and it's the longest because it's opposite the 90-degree angle. So we know that if the side is the longest in the triangle, it has to be opposite of the largest angle. Okay, so find the missing side length in each right triangle. If the answer is not a whole number, round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so I would say first things first, identify where the hypotenuse is. Hypotenuse is always opposite the 90-degree angle. So setting up the Pythagorean theorem, 4 squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. Okay, the 2 sides squared equals the hypotenuse squared. 16 plus x squared equals 100. Subtracting 16 from both sides. So we get x squared is equal to 84. And 84 is not a perfect square, so taking the square root of that, we get so if I take the square root of both sides, we get x is equal to the nearest tenth, we would round that to 9.2. All right, part B. Identifying where the hypotenuse is. The hypotenuse is now the unknown, so I know that's what I have to set my equation equal to. A squared side squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. Okay, when I combine like terms, I get 100 is equal to x squared. Taking the square root of both sides, the length of my hypotenuse is 10. Okay. Jumping down to example 4, now looking at some word problems that need the Pythagorean theorem. A computer's monitor size is determined by the length of its diagonal. You want to buy a 19-inch monitor that has a height of 11 inches. What is the width of the monitor? Draw a picture to help and round your answer to the nearest tenth of an inch. Okay, so our computer monitor is rectangular. We know the height is 11. And where does the 19 inches go? If the size of the computer is 19 inches, then that's measured by the length of the diagonal. So 19 here will be the diagonal. I know the 2 sides form a right angle, and now I'm looking for the width. So now what does 19 represent? The diagonal is actually the length of the hypotenuse. So I have the hypotenuse and one leg. I'm looking for the missing leg, so leg squared plus our unknown, which is the width squared, equals hypotenuse squared. So 121 plus w squared equals 361. Yep. Subtracting 121 from both sides, w squared is equal to 240. And to solve for w, when I take the square root of both sides, to the nearest tenth of an inch, I would get the width of the monitor is 15.5 inches. All right, example 5. A 10-foot ladder is leaning against a building. The bottom of the ladder is 4 feet from the base of the building. How high on the building does the top of the ladder touch? So, always start with a figure. 10-foot ladder. The ladder is leaning against the building, so the length of the ladder is 10 feet. The bottom of the ladder is 4 feet from the base of the building. We'll call this the base of the building. How high on the building does the ladder touch? So we'll call this our height. You know what? I won't use H. Call that our unknown. The angle formed between the floor and the building is a right angle. So now we can use our Pythagorean theorem. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. X squared plus 16 equals 100. Subtracting 16 from both sides, so it's actually the same value as the first example we did. So the ladder is 9.2 feet up the side of the building. All right, same type of scenario. A ladder is leaning against a wall. It is 6 feet from the base of the wall, and the top is 8 feet off the ground. You know what? This has the same values also. Let's go to example 7. How long must a ladder be to reach a window 13 feet above the ground? For the sake of stability, the ladder must be placed 5 feet away from the base of the wall. Okay, how long must a ladder be? So that'll be our unknown, the hypotenuse, to reach a window 13 feet above the ground, and the ladder must be placed 5 feet from the base of the wall. Okay, so the wall and the ground form a right angle. The ladder represents the length of the hypotenuse. So setting up our Pythagorean theorem, leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. So 169 plus 25 is equal to x squared. So we get 194 is equal to x squared. Take the square root of both sides. And x would equal 13.9 feet. Okay, so we'll finish the examples there. Your homework tonight is to do all of example 2. Okay, so find the missing side in each right triangle, round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So have those 6 problems due for our next class.